Welcome back to the show. It's G. Levitt, your host. Today's episode is about how you can use technology to increase earnings, profitability, or EBITDA. This show is sponsored by Toolbox OS, the private equity concept that exchanges technology for equity to scale and sell businesses. Let's get started. So today we're talking about EBITDA, earnings or profitability, the net margin, the bottom line of your business. EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Basically what it means is if you were to look at your QuickBooks right now, the net profit that you see at the bottom, that's pretty well your EBITDA, more or less. So we're gonna go with that and call it net profit. It's the best representation to keep it simple for today's show. So we're talking about the profitability of your business and how technology can drive it. Well, it's worth noting that in looking at technology as three-dimensionally, as I've taught it before on this show, you look at it three-dimensionally from the perspective of your customer to drive revenue, your staff to drive EBITDA, and your buyer or your capital market to drive the valuation multiple. So today we're going to focus on the earnings piece, the EBITDA piece, and the perspective of your staff. So that's the stakeholder we're talking about. The ideas that come out of this are going to be your ideas. They're not mine. But I might remind you of things that you've thought of before or things that you've thought of implementing. And I want you to keep in mind that as we talk through this, I became who I became because I 5x'd EBITDA. I'm a product of this product. I utilized my own Toolbox operating system to 5x my own EBITDA in my first go at it, which is why I'm sitting here today and why I have the guts to sit here on this podcast and attempt to teach you something or help you on your journey. It's because I've been there. It's because I've done that. It's because I've moved this number a lot. EBITDA is one of my specialties personally. It's because of how I think. It's because of the way my brain's wired. I tend to take things apart and put them back together in a more efficient manner. So let's dive into it. The key word when we're looking at how technology can drive EBITDA is we're looking at the staff's perspective, right? That's the stakeholder, your company, the people that work at your company. The key word is processes. Processes. So how can we automate the processes so that your staff is happy, right? How do we take your staff and make life easy? How do we McDonald's-ify your business so that it's so easy a caveman could do it? How do we look at all of your systems and turn them into actual systems as opposed to just unarticulated systems? Things you do the same way every time, but you haven't quite automated those things. This is the most common way people look at technology, is through the EBITDA lens, through the lens of how efficient does the company run? Do we have a good CRM? Is there a good ERP? Are we buying the right softwares? Do they all talk to each other? Do the APIs communicate? Do we need to buy Zapier and stitch some things together? These are the common things that people think about when it comes to EBITDA. I 5x'd EBITDA, not by looking at it as which technologies can I buy, but I looked at it from the perspective of which technologies could I build. And the reason why is because I couldn't find anything that would adequately stitch all of the things together to make my company differentiated and to truly drive actual automation into the business. What I found was that the multiple logins that sort of it took to try and even get close to what I could do wasn't just gonna work. I just decided to go a different direction. You'll remember if you've watched previous shows, I talk about build it, buy it, or partner with it. And those are really your three options when you look at this type of thing. I invented my first operating system and it ended up automating 19 different things about our marketing business, all the way from how we intook leads, to how we processed the lead and assigned it to a salesperson, to how we wrote proposals. We had a proposal writing system. How the client signed the proposal, how the proposal got assigned and turned into a contract, how the contract turned into an invoice, how the invoices turned into retainer hours, how those got billed and tracked, how the employees spent time against those retainers, and how the employees tracked all and stored all the information around that particular account so they could service the account. So when you look at how that all got stitched together, it greatly automated the business and helped us scale much more easily, where the front end of the business could go up, the back end of the business could go down, and then all of a sudden I've disconnected those two, which you've heard me talk about if you've listened to this podcast. The definition of scalability is if the front end of the business scales, i.e. the revenue, the back end of the business doesn't go up as well at that same rate. So that's what we're looking at when we talk about EBITDA, when we talk about how technology can drive it. We 5X it in using that thinking. Now, I wasn't special. I was a 24, 5-year-old kid when we did this, right? Didn't know half of what I know now about business. The real key was I just gave myself permission. I said, hey, if anyone can build SaaS, we can do it. We don't know anyone else who has done it, so we can just venture into this world ourselves. We did put up about $400,000 at risk over the first year or two, building the software. So it's worth noting that there is an investment at times to make some of these things happen, unless you choose the partner with it route, which is of course what we do at Toolbox OS, is we partner with companies to be able to pull that off in short order and with no capital. So it's worth noting that we 5x'd EBITDA, we did it in a short period of time, but we did spend a significant amount of money getting it right. So let's recap. The key word here is processes. How do we automate your processes? This isn't about choosing a new CRM. This is about actually making so that the pie charts of the people that work in your company, the pie chart of how they spend their time, what percentage of their time goes to what, that those pie charts are more in alignment with what you want them to be doing. Now, if you're unsure how your people are spending their time, if you could juice more EBITDA out of the business, you don't even have to ask about technology. All you have to do is pie chart your employees. You just have all your employees give you a pie chart of how they spend their time. That's the shortcut to figuring out whether you've got more EBITDA to squeeze out of your business. And then you can turn the data that you get from the pie charts, the things you learn about how your employees are spending time, and you can look and see if you choose and wish to spend your money, their salary, on the things in that pie chart. And anything you see in that pie chart that you don't like is your new automation opportunity. Again, the stakeholder is your staff, the pie charts are your friend, the key word is the processes, and this is G. Levitt, the Tech Shark, signing out.